Welcome to the Asian Connection Mortgage Podcast, where we connect Asian Canadians together to talk about anything related to real estate, mortgages, and finances, based out of Vancouver. Our host is John Lee, mortgage broker with Arise Mortgage. Grab a bubble tea and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to another episode of the Asian Connection Mortgage Podcast. My name is John Lee, and I have a special guest today, and we're going to be talking about the truth about Vancouver condos. So I have Jersey Lee today. How's it going, Jersey?
Awesome, because it's always sunny with me, Jersey. And who's better to talk to than the apartment guy?
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to reach out because you are the apartment guy and you are in the front lines working with clients and making deals in the condo market. But to be honest with you, and probably I can speak for other people as well, people are not so much uh, optimistic about condos because of all these scary headlines. So that's why I want to talk about that today. But we're going to leave that on the side for now. But let's get to know you a little bit more. So how did you get into the real estate and why condos?
Um, you said right, and right now, definitely condo is scary. The reason I got into condos was because back then the condo was the hot stuff. It wasn't so scary, right? But how I got into real estate, if we backtrack, just give your audience a little background about myself, uh, is I had a friend who registered a real estate tutoring course before getting the license. And if he find another referral to go to that same tutoring course, he would get 50% off. So I was a 50% off. Then I passed exam, he didn't.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And did your friend end up still becoming a realtor though?
No, no, he didn't.
Oh, wow. That's so Asian though.
Yeah.
Like trying to,
No, right? You always find a deal somewhere.
yeah, I'm trying to buy a deal somewhere.
Yeah, and then for me, in the beginning, I didn't really treat it so serious. I had a good sales job. I was selling garbage disposal services. It was a very competitive, very salesy type of job, but it helped me to train my sales skills. Then before I know, the income in real estate part-time was more than my income full-time. Then that's when I truly decided, okay, maybe I should give it a try. Then I started full-time.
And how long ago was that?
2018 when I started in real estate journey, 2019, the beginning of 2019 was when I got my full real estate license. But it wasn't until 2020, during COVID, that's when I got full-time into real estate.
Got it. And I want to learn more about your Asian background.
Uh-huh.
So you're a Lee as well. We're bros from another mother.
Yeah, yours is
But
L-E-E, mine's
spelled
L-I.
differently.
Right. When people say, "Are you Jersey lie?" I say, "I don't lie."
You go Jersey Lee. Lee is you. Also like you in Chinese. So it's like you're the liar.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Yeah, Lee, right? You. That's exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, tell me more about your background. So where your parents or where are you originally from?
I actually grew up in mainland China, in Nanjing, uh,
Mm.
and went to elementary, high school, everything there until I was 18. And then I decided to come to Canada without my parents. So I landed, I think, September 10th. Oh, so t now September, right?
September 9th today, I believe.
September
Yeah.
10th, 2008, when I was 18, grab a basketball, landed, didn't know the language. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. I living in a small illegal suites for you won't find this property anymore. $270 a month.
Wow. Were you sleeping with like a whole bunch of other students as well in
No,
the
no,
living room?
it's a small room, but I'm a tall guy. I'm like 6'2", so the bed was so short, or the room is so short, it's so narrow. I had to lean in a specific angle so my bed can fit.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your English is really good considering you came to Canada so
Yeah.
late in your life.
Yeah, I was just trying to, I was try to make something out of this life. So I remember when I first came, English was bad, but I stayed in that international college, that cafeteria, just stay there from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, and just speaking English. Where you come from? Same question to different people. What's your major? What do you want to do after you graduate? Then
Yeah.
practice, practice, practice. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good, but I have a feeling there's a reason behind that. There's probably a lot of pretty girls there, and you're just like staying there 12 hours just
No, no, no. As an Asian, you check my Asian background. I grew up with the Asian education system in mainland, so it's very restricted or very uh like very shy, very shy. So I
Mm.
wasn't really talking to girls, just practicing my English. Truly, yeah. I wish I had that mindset, but no, no.
You also shared that you had two kids as well, and I understand you have your Chinese background and now you're Canadianized now that you are living here. Your kids are growing up in Canada as well. But are there any Asian culture or any Asian things that you do want to pass on to your kids that you think is going to be helpful for them?
Oh, yeah, I think I still identify my kids as Asian Canadian. I don't want them to be true Chinese, especially some older generation that they uh, too calculating. And for Canadians, they're more free. They love life, and they protect others, not just themselves. My kids are adopting our culture, or they're catching some phrases. Like my son, only 3.5, he already know 烦死啦, because my wife speaks Cantonese, so that
Yeah.
means too troublesome. Yeah.
Oh, no,
My
that's
daughter,
great. Yes.
my daughter mainly speak Cantonese and English, but she also, because I speak Mandarin most often, and my daughter also know 烦死了, 烦死了, because that's always I say to them when they bother me.
Well, no, thanks for sharing. And that's very interesting. And no, I do want to get back into our talk today, which is the condo market.
So I passed the Asian test.
You
Now,
you did pass the Asian test. Your last name already passed the Asian test already. Our last name.
good, good, good.
Um, okay, so you mentioned like when you first started, everyone wanted condos. It was hot, and you were the apartment guy, and you specialized in it. And now, after a few years, we're hearing all these headlines, and it sounds very scary. But I just don't know if it's true or not. Like, or at least if it's as bad as what the media says it to be.
Mhm.
So, what would you say is the buyer uh, view of condos today?
I would say the headlines are right. Even as a realtor, we want to, most realtors show the good news. Goes, hey, the market's gonna turn around right away, so people would buy or they would try to sell. But me, I always carry the same philosophy: is tell people the truth, and so I can keep my business long term. Now the market is definitely bad. The buyers doesn't want to buy uh, condos, especially pre-sale, because there are too many uncertainties.
Mhm. But that's interesting because, like with Vancouver prices so high, like if people don't like condos, they honestly don't have a choice because that's like a condo, one bedroom starting like 500K or so. That's generally what people can afford, right?
Yeah.
So then for those people, like, are they just still sitting on the sidelines or they're still being more ambitious and trying to look for a condo?
since you're on the mortgage side, so you see the transaction numbers vary each year, and we can see how the market goes. Uh, you're right. Yeah, a condo might be the only affordable option for a lot of people. What I was talking about is, Vancouver has a lot of immigrants, so a lot of people are investors, especially for condos, especially smaller condos, and especially pre-sale. Because pre-sale, all you need to do is 20% down, and you can leverage 100% of that asset over the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years. And when after completion, sell it or even assign the contract before completion, you can make a profit.
Mm.
But now all investors are gone. I'm not talking about 50%, 70%. All investors are gone, especially for condos, especially for pre-sales. That's why developers, you see the headlines, they're going to receivership. And I just saw
Mhm.
on the news another big developer somewhere in Vancouver. I don't want your channel to be banned, but in Vancouver side, cancel another big project.
I see. So now when you say like condo is bad, um, is that like everywhere in Metro Vancouver, or are there still any like pockets of different neighborhoods where there's still some life or there's still more demand for that just because it's a good place to live?
Yeah, I think for the audience, the simple answer is overall, it's bad. Uh, it's because condo versus single house, despite the price, if we don't look at the price point, the single house has its scarcity or scarcity because it's only one lot. You have the land value. But condo, if in a high rise, you might have the same floor plan, you have like 30 units, the same floor plan. And now because market is going down, economy is not going so well, unemployment rate is really high. Nobody has money, and there's no new qualified uh, new immigrants coming to Canada. All of a sudden, there's less buyers. When there's less buyers, uh, and then the sellers are rushed to sell because interest rates are so high, they're losing money in their job as well. Then in the same building, you might have five or 10 same units getting sold. Now you have one buyer. Now they can choose between one of the 10 units in the same building. Now all the sellers starting bidding price lower.
Got it. So when you have say a listing, or even, you're working with a buyer and it's listed for a price, but of course you look at the BC assessment also as a reference as well.
Yeah.
What's your automatic mental calculation? Like, do you think the transactional price would be at BC assessment, maybe 5% more, or is it less than the BC assessment?
That's a really good question because a lot of buyers they will refer to the BC assessment. As realtors, we use as a rough reference, but we never look at that. Right now, most buyers want to purchase a home below BC assessment. What
Mm.
percentage really depends on the property, really depends on which area. Because if you look carefully at the BC assessment, their website, it shows that the value they give you in 2025 was derived from the stats from July 1st, 2024.
Mhm.
No, July 2024 market is totally different than 2025 market. The value today in 2025, once you see the 2026 BC assessment value, it probably will go down by maybe 5%.
Right. So for those who own a property, when they get the BC assessment in January,
Right.
uh, expect the value to be lower than the last year's BC assessment. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so BCSS value.
Mhm.
Certain areas have more transactions would more accurately to reflect the decline of the market. Certain areas, people just for self-living and they don't buy and sell that frequent, then they don't drop value so fast in a declining market.
So when it comes to condos, most popular would be studio, one bedroom and two bedroom. I know there are three, but generally those are the more popular ones when it comes to condos. which type would you say uh, um, has dropped the most?
Um, 3 bedroom because it's larger in size, thus bigger in total lump sum. And when you
Yeah.
drop 5%, it will drop more. Whether studio or 1 bedroom is still a hot commodity, it's a little bit arguable, especially in pre-sale now, because back then the studio and 1 bedroom units are for mainly for investors. They can
Mhm.
with little money they can uh, rent it out, have positive cash flow. But all the investors are gone, like we said. So now they're sold less quick.
Okay. So if a client comes up to you and goes, "Hey, I'm hearing all these bad news in the news, and they're very sophisticated and they know buy low, sell high type of mentality," and they go, "Jersey, I want to know whether or not I should purchase a existing or a pre-sale, and it's not investment, like they're planning to live in it. Either way works with their lifestyle." What would you say to this client?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that come up quite often. And that's the thing I tell them is run away from pre-sale. Even
Or
though
pre-sale. Okay.
even though I made quite a lot of money in 2020 or 2021, even part of 2022. And honestly, I have to say sorry to some of the clients bought pre-sale. Even though I tried to tell them, look, if you buy a pre-sale that time, the market's crazy, buy it for personal use, don't buy for investment. But some of them really like the project, and maybe I didn't persuade them enough not to buy. And some of them might be losing money. Uh, Anybody in that generation of buyers, they losing money. But right now, if somebody asks me, Jersey, should I buy pre-sale now or buy resale? I'll tell them run away from pre-sale, buy existing properties. If you want to consider brand new construction, wait until the building is completely finished. They're always going to be rush sellers that they borrowed from a private lender and they can't hold it for too long. They want to rush sell at a low price. Go for those.
Mm. But like pre-sales, the developers, I mean, they're not like they know what the market is, but don't don't you think they would lower the price or give more incentives to try to attract buyers so that uh they would be considered?
They do. And in maybe a few months back, they were doing it more privately behind the scene. They may call realtors, goes, hey, look, we have incentive. We're not publicly advertising it, but we're letting you know. So how about you bring some clients to enjoying those incentives?
Mm,
Now they're doing more publicly to clients through emails. Hey, we're offering this, which means they need to get rid of the inventory. If if there's a U shape going downwards and then eventually the market picks up, I don't think we're at the valley yet. We're probably just half of the left side of the U shape going down. You may think 2025 price is better than what people used to get at 2022, but wait till 2026. The
mm,
pre-sale price might drop even more. That's what exactly I tell my buyers. Since you're buying a pre-sale, you're probably not in a rush to purchase, then why rush into a declining market? Wait a little bit until you're sure it's maybe almost a bottom. It's okay even to buy when it start picking back up because you know it's going to continue going up for a while.
mhm. So for those who are looking then, what advice do you have for them? So they're going to go take your advice, avoid pre-sales, and then there's existing. Do you advise them to act if they do find something that they like, or still just wait on the sidelines because prices may come down, or there's maybe more inventory in the future? How do you how would you guide these clients?
Yes, that's a good question. The first thing I tell them is my motive is I would never push them to purchase. So they know that I'm on the same side with them. Then I tell them my strategy is you should act now, not in terms of buying, but explore a lot. Before you just need to see 10 property to make a decision. Now see 30. Um, and don't focus on just one condo unit. If you, because even it's a bar market, there might be unreasonable sellers doesn't want to lower the price, but you happen to like that property. Don't argue with them. Try bargain one time. If they don't want, that's okay. Go look for 40 more. Then you will always find that one willing to bargain with you. Maybe let's say they get into a divorce, they lost a job, or they can't pay and they have to sell. All of a sudden, you're in the zone. So back to the U shape. You may be right now, the market is still in the middle of the U shape on the left side, but if you bargain hard, you might reach the close to the bottom.
You mentioned about sellers and some might be a little bit more stubborn. Do you find that overall sellers are accepting the current market and market price? Because I always feel that sellers, they're still, regardless of what it is, especially in Vancouver or even Toronto, they're always in the mindset of like sellers market. And I don't blame them because it's been like, what, 10, 15 years like that. And they're just like, well, if you don't want it, then I'm not gonna sell it to you. Someone else is going to take it for like whatever price that I want. But what's the seller sentiment now? And are they being a little bit more flexible when it comes to pricing?
Yeah, that's another good question. And that's what I look for every time when I potentially can, I'm gonna take a listing because I don't take those sitters. I only take sellers in the declining market, the sitters on real estate expectation and sellers who actually want to sell. Um, the stats shows it all. Previous few months transaction numbers really low. Now in July and August, you see the transaction numbers goes up, which means more sales and purchases, but the price went down. So really, that shows the sellers after a few months of tug war, they realize really this market is not working out for us. I better drop my price before my neighbors do. Then their property finally gets sold.
Got it. Despite all of these doom and gloom, recently I actually saw your name on a uh, Instagram post, and you were one of the top agents for the brokerage. So despite all these doom and gloom, there is a lot of transactions that's being done, and I know, even for me, for my business, there's gotta be a lot of pivots and shifts that we have to do in order to survive in this real estate market. So what type of transactions are you doing and what are you doing more of now?
Yeah, thanks for noticing. My brokerage tagged me. Um, so in today's world, it just the for buyers are the ones I make sure they're for personal use, not for investment. Some people are getting married next month. They have to buy, right? As agents, you want to get married, the in-laws expect you to have a property. um, and for sellers, if the foreign sellers that decide to move back or they don't see the end of this decline and they just can't hold it anymore, they need to find somebody who's trustworthy, who's strategic, who have good marketing in this market to help them sell. And I think the reason I was able to be the top listing agents among my brokerage is because always I at least I try to tell the truth. I may not always be right, but I tell them what I know from my heart. Then client trust me. A lot of clients selling this year are from last 2 years, 3 years. Then they come back. It was truly we trusted you. You told us not to buy. Now it's a better time to buy, right?
Oh yeah, thanks for sharing that. And you mentioned a lot about the U, and we're
Mhm.
at like the left side, and there's maybe a chance that things can get worse before it gets better. So what would be your outlook? Like, I'm so used to Vancouver where like there's a slowdown for like 2, 3 months, and then all of a sudden herd mentality, people are like overbidding again because we don't have enough supply. For now, this is different. It's been, I think, almost 2 years now where it's just continuous slowdown and so on. So based on your thoughts, I know you don't have the crystal ball, but you also connect with a lot of other agents and people in the field. what are people expecting this turnaround to take place?
Yeah, people have different opinions, and that's why there's buy and sell because they have different expectations. Buyer think, well, it might go up. Seller goes, well, it might go down. So that's why they transact, right? My personal take is this decline still has maybe at least 3 years to go through. So
Oh,
I
three
know we
years.
don't
So
have,
that's total 5 years.
yes, or
Because
maybe,
we're already like 2 years in a way.
yeah, and I'll give you my answer. My logic behind it is yes, we don't have a crystal ball, but we can always look at the history. History doesn't repeat itself, but at least you can look at it and go, well, maybe this will happen. In the 80s, there was a big decline. But that time, uh, the new immigrants from Hong Kong and Iran saved Vancouver. Then 2008, when the economy crashed, well, the new Chinese immigrants from mainland come and save the market. Then in 2017, when there was the foreign buyer tax, the market dropped quite a bit quickly. However, it's only 2% of transactions, and again, it goes back up. Then we're entering into COVID situation. All of a sudden, the market shuts down. But the government started releasing money, just free money. So people use the money to purchase real estate. So every time Canada has been pretty lucky to get saved by new immigrants or just free money. But this time, economy not going so well, this Trump thing, the local political, you know, fights are not doing enough. The unemployment rate is high, interest rate is high. So all these are the basic of real estate. Real estate depends on it, but none of these, including immigration, are not going well. So there's no way that I see real estate can recover that fast.
So do you think the government should step in? And do you think the government will step in because of this?
I think they step in too much. If they leave it to free market, may be better. But they got to earn their vote. And we're, I know if we talk politics, people probably don't like us. But I think somebody who, the government got to be able to protect the ones that are working hard. You can't, the people who make the cake are not getting a piece, and other people are getting free pieces. All of a sudden, then it's going to be less people making the cake. Eventually, nobody make the cake.
Mhm. So recently, the government implemented some new policies, like the GST, for example, for pre-sales. Um, do you think any of these help? And if not, if you were the government, what are things that you would like to see implemented?
If I'm the government, I'm from China, then it's what do you call it, dictatorship. No, just kidding. So the GST exemption, I think the motive behind it is really to save the developers. Because
Mhm.
you gotta understand, if you sign a contract, pre-sale contract back in 2020, and you're completing 2026, you do not qualify for the GST exemption. So they're not here to save the buyers. Government basically saying, if you imagine government as a person, they go, well, it's your own fault. You bought high. It's your own speculation. You want to make profit. If you die, you die. Now the GST exemption introduction is really for the developer to save them because they create jobs. So they want developers to get rid of the inventory so some buyers can go in without the GST. That's what they're hoping for.
Got it. Yeah, there's also the on the mortgage side, you can now borrow up to 30-year amortization for pre-sales. But and then they also increased the maximum purchase price.
Right.
But as a mortgage broker, honestly, I don't have too many clients actually using those policies. Mainly because they don't, yeah, they're not really looking for a pre-sale. Um, but and they don't qualify for GST like you said because they purchased many years ago. But we'll see. We'll see if people can take advantage of it and hopefully stimulate the developers and jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
We've covered quite a bit, Jersey. But there might be things that maybe you still want to share. So, Is there any final advice that you would give someone who is considering condo purchase?
uh, is call the number below the screen. Call your favorite realtor, Jersey Lee, because there's so much to talk
We will
about.
make sure we set it up for you.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and each person's situation is different. Um, it's very hard to give real advice to real people, but if we sit down or have a call, then I can understand them better. Sometimes emotion plays a part too, so I get to know their personality as well. Then I can make the best suggestion for them. All I can promise is I wouldn't push them to buy or sell, but give them the real market condition. They make the decision. I think every realtor or mortgage broker should do that. If we all did that, the market would be better. And the reason the market is what is today really bad, I think us realtors, we are responsible partially because when the market was hot, we're asking people to buy and to sell like crazy. Then we kind of eat up our next generation's profit margin. So if everybody is more ethical, and will work hard rather than push one client, you just go look for one other client to make your own living. Then you never have to feel you need to trick your buyer or seller. Then we can really represent their best benefit.
No, thank you for sharing. All your contact information will be in the show notes. So if you don't have a realtor and you're looking to look into the condo market and or you want simply just truth, honest advice, go to the show notes, connect with Jersey, and set up an appointment with him for a meeting. Thank you so much, Jersey. This is so helpful.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider giving us a review and subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the